If you've ever been a renter, you know it's stressful to find a place with everything you love and nothing you don't. But did you know Zillow does rentals? It makes the search so easy. They have filters for pretty much everything, so you can find that place that's in your budget, but also isn't a shoebox. Or a place that's close to your parents, but far enough they have to call first. Plus, it's easy to apply, request tours, and pay rent in the app. Head to ZillowRentals.com and find your sweet spot.
At Freedom Mortgage, freedom means helping veterans use their homes for better living. Whether that be through refinancing your mortgage, accessing cash through your home's equity, or helping you purchase a new home, making home financing a custom fit. That's freedom. Visit freedommortgage.com/VA to learn more. Freedom Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 2767, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org, 951 Yamato Road, Boca Raton, Florida, 33431, 800-220-3333, licensed in all 50 states. For complete licensing information, visit www.freedommortgage.com/state-licensing. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Two Chunks and a Hunk. Movie musings for mostly everybody.
Hello and welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week I am your chunk.
I'm Doge, and why a spoon, cousin? Why not a chunk?
And I'm Carter, and because it's dull, you twit, it'll hunk more.
That was pretty passable.
Passable. We had many tries. We had many tries.
It was passable.
In pre-production.
You would voice the Happy Meal toy, I think, because they couldn't get Alan to do the little voice box.
I'm in the What If series with the Sheriff of Nottingham.
What if it just wasn't Alan Rickman?
It's just not Alan Rickman.
Yeah, what if the Sheriff of Nottingham was somebody different?
Was it anyone else? Why are you the hunk?
Honestly, guys, it's a lot of reasons. I'm an iPhone guy again. All our bubbles are blue these days.
Yes.
I still want to stay with Slack. We never had that official discussion, but I just like Slack.
I think we're going to
Slack's
stay there.
Slack's
There's a lot.
great.
There's a lot going on for the Two Chunks world over at Slack land.
Big things are happening at
Big
Slack
things happening
HQ.
at Slack. I won a dance contest at a local taco place to get jiggy with it. Won a prize there, and we had a very special moment that you'll hear more about when our Patreon episode comes out for Back to the Future. That brings some big hunkiness there, but I think you'll have to go listen to that to hear that very unique out-of-body experience for me. But there was just a lot. It was a good, and I felt bad because we got to watch this movie together. And Jordan, before I even shared all these things that made me hunky, was sharing these. Jordan had an awful week.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad about that.
Yeah, Carter stole all my luck. Carter got all the good stuff. And I had the residual badness. But it's okay. You know, it's okay. We're going to survive. We're going to make it.
Mine was exactly medium.
Yeah,
well, there you
right
go.
in the middle. You're the Goldilocks of the pod.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
What
But my hair's brown, so it's
movie
more
are we
like
talking about?
brownie locks.
Brownie locks.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
What does
Actually,
brownie
it
locks
doesn't.
sound like?
Actually, it doesn't because brownies are good and locks
Brownie
is
locks.
fine, but brownie locks would be a no, thank you.
Is lox fish? Or is lox fish?
Yeah, it's salmon, right?
That's what I thought. So brownies and salmon together is not going to do it for me so
It's
much.
me. That's why they call me the chocolate salmon.
No, thank you.
I bet that's happened somewhere. That's happened. Someone did that. Someone did that well.
You made
I
that
know.
food or called me that?
Made that.
Because I guarantee you nobody's called me that.
I guarantee nobody's made brownie locks. I guarantee it. Look, we are beginning, finally, officially, after the bridge of Black Widow between the two series, we are in earnest beginning the Olympicks : Carter's Choice series. And we're starting with Carter's first choice, which is a real doozy. And that is the seminal 1991 classic,
Robin
Hood,
Prince of
Thieves.
So let's talk about it. But before we officially talk about it, I do need a synopsis from Doge.
Well, boys, I hope you like prepositions because we got some. This week's synopsis is written by Daniel Williamson. After escaping from a dungeon, after being captured by the Turks during the Crusades, Robin, son of Lord Loxley, and a warrior Moor named Azim return to England, only to find Robin's father has been murdered by the corrupt sheriff of Nottingham and has taken over his father's lands. Unable to be helped by maid Marion Dubois, sister of Robin's friend Peter, who died trying to help Robin and Azim escape, Robin vows to avenge his father and flees to the forest of Sherwood, home to a band of outlaws who have been banished from their villages by the sheriff of Nottingham. Combining the forces of the outlaws, Robin and his men set out on a crusade against the sheriff of Nottingham and defeat the sheriff and his henchman, who bids to take over the throne of England's rightful ruler, King Richard, and put an end to the corruption that has infested the English countryside.
Yeah, that'll preach.
That'll do it.
That'll preach. This movie, I want to say, it's my first time watching it. I've heard the soundtrack 1,000 times, but this is my first time watching it. This movie feels like such an obvious precursor to things like Gladiator and Braveheart, in the sense of like really getting in there and doing its best. It started as an intended compliment.
This is to Gladiator and Braveheart. When you look at this and then look at those, it's like looking at the render of Sid's dog from Toy Story 1 versus the cat
like a
from
real
Soul.
dog.
Yeah. Where it's like this is technically the same thing, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, and really, I was trying to channel the spirit of the early Olympiad here.
Oh, yeah.
And so this was about archery. And I want to make sure, I want to set up the stage here for how Olympics will run. There'll be a little bit of a
Olympicks.
little Carter Spice in here. And it's something I've mentioned to the Pod Boys before, but it's worth mentioning again, especially for our listeners, that we will be heading to the podium for every movie. Meaning we're still going to have our super pumps and our super dumps and our pumps and dumps. But as far as characters go, and this is character based because we do want some people up here or
it's
animals
USA
or anything.
out here. Characters welcome. You know what I mean?
Characters welcome. We'll have a gold, silver, and bronze. You can present that. We'll have an opportunity to present that near the end of the episode of our top 3 characters from each of these films. So this has a lot of characters, all that to say. You got a lot of choices. You got a lot of choices in Prince of Thieves. I had forgotten that this was a 2.5 hour long
Boy, it's long
movie.
Hey.
So shout out to all the Pod Boys for coming out to House Willis-I and watching that and having that late evening.
I'm going to get my super dump out of the way because I really did. I had such a positive and fun viewing experience with this movie that there is no conceivable way that I could have disliked it. So I'm going to get my negativity done real quick. My super dump is that every aspect of this movie, from the runtime to every individual scene, was 1.5 times the amount of time it should have been.
Yeah.
Every scene was just 50% longer than it should have been. The entire movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it absolutely should have been 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
This movie just took itself and it looked at itself and it said, what if just too much?
What if more?
What if just too much? And it did. And it went too much. And there were so many times that I was like, you have got to be kidding me. How are we still doing this? Oh my goodness.
I'm curious if that same math that everything is about 150% more, does that apply?
No, 150% of. So 50% more than it should
50% more. Does that same math apply to the history mullets?
Oh, the mullets there's a handful of history mullets.
There's quite a few historical mullets.
There's an antagonist and protagonist mullet.
You know
There's
what?
a light mullet and a dark mullet, a good and an evil mullet in your
thumbs
heart.
up. I pump,
Whichever one you
pump
feed is the one that wins.
I pump the hair of this movie.
1991. So this is still very much an 80s movie to me. It feels more 80s than 90s, and I guess at the beginning of the decade, you kind of get that. You get that overlay.
Every person in this movie is a goober.
An absolute goober.
Like a straight
completely.
up goober, dude.
Completely.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, could y'all, and I don't want to jump to talking about like the overall experience.
No, let's do it. Let's do it.
Could y'all see how this was like without knowing like Chelsea's family very well, but can you see how like this could be like a classic, like watch a million times
Absolutely.
with your family kind of movie?
Completely.
This movie wrapped up, and genuinely, my thought was I could watch this once a year, every year with you guys.
Yeah.
Like I could have a standing Robin Hood date with all of you guys, and just like,
Yeah.
where are we watching Robin Hood this year? What's the food? What are we doing? Like, it's such an experience to watch this movie because it is so, it's like so exaggerated.
It's
that when it swings and misses, it doesn't matter because you're just amazed that a bat could swing that fast.
Right.
No.
Right. I think it does what Cutthroat Island doesn't manage to do. Like we talked a lot when we reviewed Cutthroat. I feel like, first of all, I should get this out there. They're very much the same.
They're the same.
This movie and Cutthroat Island are siblings. But I think this one manages to do what Cutthroat Island doesn't, which is complete the circle and come all the way back around to being, I'm enjoying being surprised at how bad it is.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Because this is a bad movie. Like
It's
objectively,
terrible.
It's
Oh my
bad
goodness,
movie.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
But with something like Cutthroat Island, like every time I was surprised by how much worse it got, I was bummed. I was like, you're kidding me. I thought it couldn't get worse.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had the exact same reaction here, but I was excited. You're kidding me. I can't believe it's getting worse.
Yeah.
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 And speaking of surprises, like bad movies make a lot of money. I would argue that bad movies make billions of dollars. I couldn't believe how much money this made in 1991. We were talking about it last night, but this was a $40 million movie, okay, which in 91 is a lot of money. Obviously, it makes sense because a ton of set pieces, costumes for hundreds of extras, it felt like.
Well, yeah. They had to spend all that at Spirit Halloween.
And it made almost 10 times that amount worldwide. This made over $400 million.
That's crazy.
Which is
It's not surprising though, honestly.
bonkers. Yeah.
Did you
In
see
1991, you get a medieval-ish epic movie on this scale. You're gonna go see it.
Did you see that? It was, I think it was for VHS sales. It may have been for box office. It was second place behind Terminator 2
Jeez.
Phenomenal.
for that year. That's wild.
That is pretty
Phenomenal.
wild. It's
That's
also
the duality
wild that those
of
two
man,
movies
right?
came out at the same time. Everyone is either Terminator 2 or Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. There is no in between.
There is no middle.
Everyone is one of these two things. No, I think that there is. So let's start talking about it because this is some of the worst cinematography I've ever seen. I mean, it is really horrible. Like every shot is bad. There are parts of this movie where it's like, I can see the sound stage you're recording this on. Like, I can see lights. The castle at the beginning has fluorescent lighting inside of it. It's nighttime.
We love the silhouette of Hero.
Big time.
Yeah.
Love. And it's ridiculous.
But it's amazing because as you're watching, you're like, this actually came out in theater. Like, this is a real movie that really came out.
Yeah.
I kept thinking of, around that time frame, we would also get, like, it's the kind of lighting that we would have behind our stars feels a lot like Close Encounters and E.T. Like, it feels like this should be a spaceship behind you.
That's true.
But you're telling me this is the sun and sometimes the moon?
It's like
sometimes
they
it's
learned
the torches
wrong
inside your castle.
lessons. It's like they watched these Spielberg movies and learned the wrong lessons from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing I'd love to talk about, just among about 1,000 things in this movie, is Kevin Costner's terrible accent.
Super dumb.
Kevin Costner is my super dumb.
Is it? Okay, yeah.
He's so bad. I can't believe he's the
unreal
reason
bad.
I can't believe this movie made so much money.
Yeah.
Because it feels like, Costner in 1991 is the extra spice. Like, he's what you're adding to whether he's good or not to make that change.
Has he done Dances with Wolves yet? Or is he about to do that?
He has already done it at this point. It's 1990.
He has done-
I'm looking at it right now because Kevin Costner's good, dude. Like, I like Kevin Costner, and he's terrible in this.
Yeah, so he was hot off of Dances with Wolves, which was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we bring him in and he just decides not to do an accent at all, Jordan. I think you're right. I think it's...
Did you read
I would rather know he decided not to do it than he...
Did you read the story about that?
No, tell me about it.
He wanted to, hired his own accent coach. The director fired the accent coach and said, Kevin, you're not allowed to do that because you're too bad at it.
Wow.
Wow, right? So he still tries to do it a little bit by over accenting the T's at the end of words, which is like British light. He's like doing the free trial of a British accent. But he wanted to do full on, like match the rest of the cast, hired an accent coach and was told, Kevin, you're not allowed to do that because it would ruin this movie. So somehow what he's doing right now while they're filming him is more preferable than what he wanted to do.
I would have loved to actually get some clips of the... I need the Costner British accent.
Release the Costner cut, please. Let's get that on Twitter.
Costner, man. Doge made a funny joke last night with talking about like this could have been just a sleeper like sneak up on you and do a Costner series because of how many sports movies he's been in.
Bull Durham, Field of Dreams. Those are.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, baseball is an Olympic sport.
I just mean there's 2 baseball movies. But.
Yeah. Well, he also did Draft Day, which is a football movie. So I think we could definitely hit them all. Waterworld is swimming.
That's what I'm saying. This one, Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman in this movie might be 2 of the most extreme versions of like fantastic actor delivering such terrible performances.
Yeah, I would. Here's a hot take. I don't even think Kevin Costner's a fantastic actor. He's not. If he's just asked to play,
fair.
If he's just asked to play a normal dad, sure, yeah, you can have a handful of conviction, like he can portray that. But I've never really considered Costner like
that's fair.
He's definitely on his Morgan lane, Freeman's level.
In his lane, he is very good.
Is his lane just like regular Midwest Joe?
Yep.
Yeah. Because I don't think I think that's him. I think he plays Robin Hood like a regular Midwest Joe.
Yep, that's fair.
Like it's one thing, like it can't just be the accent that screwed him up. Like he is awful. Like he's not even, when he's supposed to laugh, it's like a first read through. Yeah. No, it's even worse than a first read through in like one act when you're like going through the script and just having a table read. Like his laugh at one point, he's like, like he's actually phonetically saying things
H-A-H-A.
It's like Kevin Costner thinks that being British just means you don't use contractions.
Yeah.
Like everything he said was just like, I cannot let this happen. It has not.
He's only acting from the nose down too. Like his eyes never change.
That's
good.
He's him and Vin Diesel.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to imagine like, he's looking at the script and literally it's like, hey, you're going to hurry up the horses. Here's your line. And they spell it H-Y-A-H. And I would imagine they're like, hey, you don't exactly have to say hiya. You can just be like, ha! Like, just like the horse knows if you hit it and you're trying to get it to go, but he's like, hiya, hiya, hiya. Like, he's like so to the book. Like, yeah. I don't know if it's overacting or what it is. It's an anomaly, but it's got me perplexed.
Yeah. It's like over and under acting at the exact same time somehow.
Yeah. He's all the best parts of the bad.
He's acting to the side.
Yeah. And the worst parts of the good. Like he doesn't really touch the best parts about this movie.
No. Right.
But he's also great. He's also so fun. I got excited when Robin Hood, who's got the most screen time, is on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird dynamic with a movie like this, right? Because like in a normal movie that we're watching because it's going to be an incredible story or a well-made piece of art or whatever, or because it's a storyline we care about or any of these things. We're watching this movie and Kevin Costner shows up and we want him off the screen. We hate that he's in this. It's so terrible, all this stuff. But in a movie like this, Robin Hood shows up and you're like, yes, give me more of the garbage.
Yeah, I want more
Please
of it.
give me more garbage.
Yeah.
And I think it's because pretty much from the moment this movie begins, it's fairly clear what's happening. And it's that you are watching a B, perhaps C movie unfold.
But it's not like, for me, it's not charm. Like, it's not like, oh, look at them trying to do, like, in the same way that maybe early episodes of Star Trek are like, oh, look at William Shatner fighting that lizard man in a costume. Oh, I'm invested because it's charming. Like, I'm laughing at the movie. I'm not laughing with the movie.
That's so good. Yeah. Not laughing with it.
Yeah. I think that's excellent. That's a great point, because it isn't like, they were just constrained by what they were able to do, and I can see where it's going, and it's so fun and good. Like, it's like, no, you made a bad movie. Like, this is a stinker. Like,
yeah, it's 14 years after Star Wars. I feel like you don't get to be like, oh, they were trying anytime after 1977.
Yeah, I agree. Unless it's like a kid's movie and they clearly had no budget or whatever. But at $40 million, you should have been able to do way more with this. And this is, I mean, I understand that 8 years or 9 years is a long time, but only 9 years later, we get Ridley Scott's Gladiator.
Dude, 20 years later, we get things like No Time to Die. And like, that's way better. So it's like, there's no excuse.
Did you just say we get No Time to Die in 2011? Is that what you just said?
It's 30 years later.
30 years? What?
Yeah, this movie is 30 years old. Yeah. Well, I can't help but think of,
the episode's just silence as we ponder.
Gosh, that sucks.
The
Jurassic Park is like 5 years later, right? Like, it's like
that's true.
That's honestly an
Blockbuster
even
with
better
practical effects is
yeah.
Now, I will say,
when was Hook? Because this feels more like explosion than
when he shoots the arrow is awesome.
Oh yeah,
it's the one good shot in the whole movie.
How are we getting that explosion in 1200 AD? Is that
I looked this
possible?
Up. Yeah, I looked this up. Gunpowder was considered one of the 4 great inventions of dynastic China. It was during the Tang dynasty in the 900s, and its use was widespread throughout Eurasia by the end of the 12th century, which was the 1180s, 1190s.
There you go.
Set in 1192.
But if it's widespread, then why are they all confused by it?
Well, it was likely the Crusades that brought it back to Europe from the Far East.
Amazing. Well, there you go. It stands up. It's already changed my rating. We'll see how high it goes.
What's higher than Poster?
I'll make it. I'll remake it again, shot for shot, with every single actor.
Well, I'll kiss Kevin Costner right on his unaccented mouth.
Yes,
that's higher than the Poster.
Oh man. Look, here's the thing. I had a thought that if we wanted this movie to be better, quality wise, that Christian Slater actually would have made a much better Robin Hood than a Will Scarlet.
Yeah, doesn't make as much money, but it's definitely a better Robin Hood. I would agree with that, I think.
So Christian Slater's lack of accent and his weird vocal inflections almost perfectly mirror Kevin Costner's.
Well, spoiler alert, they are half brothers.
Right. Do you think Christian Slater did that on purpose, or are they the same kind of bad in this?
I think they're the same kind of bad. I really do.
Because if he did it on purpose,
I like to think he did it
unbelievable. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I like to think he did it on purpose.
I can't express how open-handed I am approaching the discussion of this movie. You could tell me
you have virtually no convictions.
No, you could tell me anything about this movie, and I'd be like, yeah, but it was a really enjoyable 2 hours and 15 minutes, so whatever, dude.
Yeah. We spend, Jordan, you said your super dump was how long it was, right? Like how much time we spend on things.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we were in the valley standing on that stone fence for like 10 minutes.
Dude, wasn't that weird?
Long? Like, that was so long. We get an introduction of like a kiddo. I can't remember his actual name. They would call him the deer Wolf. That's right. And then we had Guy and Wolf show up during that time.
Guy rules.
The Guy of Gisborne. Gosh, he's a cartoon.
Guy rules.
Yeah. There were cartoons. It's like cartoons juxtaposed to Costner is probably what makes Costner look so bad, because there really are so many.
Dude, I would put Morgan Freeman in that same category. Morgan Freeman is both under and overacting Azim. Yeah. This is notable in that it's a really positive portrayal of
outsider, foreigner.
Yeah, like it doesn't have the usual kind of like Arab phobia that we would have during the 90s and certainly the 2000s. Like, he's a kind and good man who's a devout Muslim and helps his friends. Like, he's a really, really great character. He's pretty well written. It's just acted horribly by Morgan Freeman.
Well, that's the thing, huh? I don't know that the script is the problem with this movie.
Yeah, it's not a terrible script.
I think that the script the bones are there for something good. I think it's the everything else. I think it's the direction, the cinematography, the acting. Well, it's not everything else. Soundtrack absolutely bangs, dude.
There is also an actor who absolutely is not
we're
the
not
worst
there
part
yet.
of this movie.
I figure we're all saving that until after shout announcements. So let's
I think
hold
we
off
probably
on
are.
that. But yeah,
It'll be a dedication to that person for the last 30 minutes.
100%. But
Completely.
the soundtrack is a full scale certified slapper.
Oscar nominated.
Completely.
Yeah,
Understandably.
the
that's
OST
parts of it.
and everything I do. Parentheses, I do it for you.
Yeah.
Both
Two-time
Oscar-nominated.
Oscar nominated. Yeah.
Wow.
What a slap in the face that costumes and stuff wasn't. All the stuff they put their money in. I mean, obviously it wasn't just that. There's fun little, there's a lot of just actors dropping out of nowhere that probably made a lot of that budget, which is a fun thing that we'll talk about later. But the soundtrack to me, mixed with the dynamic of Robin and Azim, I'm glad. I don't think we talked about it while we were watching it together, but we've already mentioned Gladiator. This very much felt like Russell Crowe with Hansu and, that beautiful score that we get.
Yeah.
I think actually Oscar-winning score that we get in Gladiator. And it's just funny. I think Robin Hood,
It's a
it would be
total
interesting
precursor, dude.
It would be interesting to find out what has given it life.
Yeah.
Because I do still think that this movie is relatively a popular watch.
Yeah.
I know that y'all hadn't seen it before, but it was kind of it kind of sticks around
It is
because
in
it is
Kevin
Adjacent
Costner's
to
top 4 on IMDb.
Yeah.
It is one of his top 4 build movies.
Yeah, it's adjacent to epics.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
it's because it definitely tries to
Dude, I really think
dress
it's
like
because
one.
I think it's because Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves walked so that Gladiator and Braveheart and all of these movies could run. I really do.
And Russell Crowe's Robin Hood and Taron Egerton's Robin Hood, all the Robin Hoods.
Dude,
Robin Hood.
Hey, the general viewing audience of the world deserves a good Robin Hood movie, just by the way.
Completely.
Did we
Completely.
just not? Was there not any of these big like medieval epic showdown movies before Robin Hood? There had to be.
I'm sure there were. I
I mean, you get
the
like
style-
giant epics like the 10 Commandments and stuff. You certainly
Sure.
have things like Charlton Heston's 10 Commandments and stuff
and
like that. But
Ben Hur is pretty big.
yeah, but like the
Like,
modern,
you're right though.
modern historical epics, I don't know that we were
That's
really
so
making
interesting.
those.
Because it's even things like Troy and Kingdom of Heaven. We
Yeah,
were really
I was
hot
thinking of
on all
Kingdom of
that
Heaven.
stuff in
Yeah.
the early 2000s. Yeah, to think that Braveheart's even after this. For some reason, Braveheart doesn't feel too far after it.
I kept thinking Braveheart was before this because every character is obsessed with freedom in this, which is maybe not the most one-to-one mapping of the Robin Hood story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
interesting. It just feels like the other thing is that this movie feels like a beat for beat remake of Princess Bride, just without all the intentional humor.
Yeah, it was like 2 years after Princess Bride, I think.
Yeah, it's like
Princess Bride
very
was
similar.
89 or 87, I think.
Yeah.
Very
Did you see that they
similar.
wanted Robin Wright to play Maid Marian?
Did they really?
Mhm.
Yeah. And she turned it down because she became with child.
Mm.
Pregnant,
She got
As they say.
pregnant.
as they say.
Just
My
like
favorite, my favorite thing about them not understanding the Robin Hood story and not really knowing it is there was a show called Robin of Sherwood, a BBC show that ran for 4 seasons in the mid 80s. And in that show, they invented a Moorish character to be Robin Hood's best friend. And so when they wrote this movie, they just straight up lifted that character name and everything because they thought it was part of the Robin Hood story.
They
Same
just
as
took it
Little
from the
John
show?
or Will Scarlet. They just took it from the show and then did a little bit of research on Robin Hood and changed the character's name to Azim so they didn't get sued.
Amazing.
Is that not wild? I can't believe that.
That's crazy.
So they wrote a script before they read source material?
Yeah, well, Robin Hood's one of those things that doesn't really have a ton of source material. There's not like a
that's
text that you can
valid.
go back
It's
and
more
look at.
folklore, I guess.
Sure, and there's not a lot of evidence that points to there ever being a real Robin Hood, even
No.
though the Crusades were very much real. It was kind of a French legend that made its way across the English Channel in about the 1400s.
Was Robin Hood always somebody who came back sort of transformed by the Crusades with like a change of heart about caring for people? Is that sort of a
Not
part of his
really.
story? Because I
Not
think
really.
that's also in the Russell Crowe story.
It is in the Russell Crowe story. A lot of this owes some debt to the Errol Flynn Robin Hood. That's where Splitting the Arrow comes from. And so that's why it's in the Disney one. That's why it's in
I
this
love
one.
Splitting the Air. That might be.
Yeah.
I think if is it Robin Hood Men in Tights that has a big, long tournament aspect to its story? Is that right?
Robin Hood, the Disney cartoon does.
Also,
which comes from Errol Flynn. So those are both references to the Errol Flynn Robin Hood.
I think Robin Hood at his best is whimsical like Peter Pan, but intense, sort of like the Russell Crowe Robin Hood was, like as far as like violence and overall intensity. But I think Robin Hood, like as a character, is at his best when he's doing sort of a show off at the tournament to prove a point kind of a thing.
Guys, the Russell Crowe Robin Hood is so wild. I forgot about it and then went down a rabbit hole about it last night after we watched this. Did you remember that movie ends with Robin Hood organizing a grassroots campaign to get the king to sign the Magna Carta? Because I forgot about that.
The Magna Carta?
Unbelievable. Yep. That is unbelievable.
Really?
Yep. It's wild.
I haven't watched that. I think I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, I did too. Wild, wild, wild. Anyway.
So sad. So sad for Ridley.
So sad for Ridley. Ridley, so sad for you. At least you made Alien, though.
Yeah, that's true.
It is time for shout announcements. And we're going to go do that right now. Welcome to Shout Announcements, part of the show where we give shout outs and make announcements. Shout out to the part of VHSs and DVDs before they were able to live update through the internet that gave previews for movies. That is the most diminishing return I can think of, actually, to take up real estate on your VHS reel, REEL estate on your VHS with movies that odds are already out.
Yeah. Bit of charm to it, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But just thinking about how wild it is that
it really is.
There were 10 minutes of every DVD and VHS we bought that were just like, check this out, coming soon to own. And it's like, well,
coming to theaters fall 1997.
Right. Yeah. It's just like, already here, brother. Already here. Oh, man. That's funny. So, yeah, make sure you acknowledge the shout out to VHS. Do love
Thank
that.
your local VHS.
The other thing I want you to shout
work
is into your friends' ears. I want you to shout into your friends' ears about our podcast. Tell somebody about this show if you love it. If you don't love it, I hope you do eventually because it would mean a lot to me. But if you do love it already, tell your friends about it. Tell them about Black Widow. Black Widow's huge right now. If you've got friends that liked the movie, didn't like the movie, have thoughts about the movie, listen to...
Have you heard about Black Widow?
You guys heard about this?
It's huge right now.
What's the deal with Black Widow? Huh? Tell your friends, share the episode. Just send it straight to them. There's a share option on pretty much every podcast service. Just hit that little share button, text it to them apropos of nothing.
Listen, we want you to be a part of our family. And the way that you become part of our family is by supporting us over on Patreon. We've got 2 distinct tiers for you. The first tier is $3 per month.
3.
And with that, you get bonus episodes that admittedly have been sporadic over the last 2 months, but we are getting ready to record and release the first of a kind of new venture that we're taking on over in our bonus episode zone. We're going to be reviewing every single Back to the Future. This is the first time we've ever done a Patreon-specific series. So it's taken a little bit of planning to get that up and running, but we are getting ready to launch our Back to the Future series over on Patreon. You don't want to miss that. I actually happen to know a little bit about what our discussion is going to be ahead of time, particularly some interesting revelations that will come to light, and I'm very, very excited to record and release that episode. And if you want to support us even more than that, we have a $5 a month tier. Where you get all the benefits from the $3 tier, which includes an extra vote in any series that we're asking you guys to help us choose. You get all that stuff, the vote, the bonus episode, plus access to our patron-exclusive Discord channel. Some real great things have been happening over there recently. We have just launched the first season of an Everybody Gets to Play Box Office Ball League. We've got a large number of teams over there with some of the most dedicated, hardcore chunkies. We're drafting actually as we speak. It's my turn, and I'm waiting till we're done recording the episodes before I make my pick. But it's so fun. I'm super, super excited about that and all the great stuff going on over on Discord.
So we might even be doing some of those box office ball check-ins, let you know who's in the lead Is it still Carter? All that kind of stuff. So that'll be fun when we get back to
usually, yeah.
Now with Loki being gone, now we're back into those mini Mondays. So you get to. It's exciting stuff for me. It becomes less exciting for Jordan and Doja if you're familiar with any of the games that we play over there. Speaking of playing games, we're just about to the Olympics, like the actual Olympics.
Yeah.
Which I mean is our series, and then like the Olympics that are based off of our series.
Yeah, they're kind of copying
the actual summer games. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Olympics, Carter's Choice, we're doing that right now. We're going to be near the middle of that next week when we do Karate Kid. And then the week after that, one of the hottest games right now, the hottest things to follow in the Summer Olympics, perhaps one of the most popular teams in the world is the U.S. women's soccer team. And so I just had to do some women's soccer in a very underrated movie. I don't think either of the guys have seen. Again, this has been kind of fun to introduce some movies to them, but Bend It Like Beckham, one of Keira Knightley's first movies. And it's going to be a great conversation. I'm excited for that. But next week, tune in for a little bit of wax on, wax off with the Karate Kid with Daniel San and Mr. Miyagi. Very excited for that.
Cannot.
Yeah, I'm
wait.
very, very excited.
Did you know if you pay your nanny or sitter more than $2,300 a year or $100 a week, you owe taxes? When Care.com HomePay does your nanny taxes and payroll, we make sure to find all the tax benefits you qualify for, up to $8,000 a year. From tax filing to payroll, Care.com HomePay has it all covered. When you sign up for Care.com HomePay, we handle your nanny payroll, W-2s, everything you need. Try our service for free for the first month. Go to homepay.com to get started.
Now, before we get into the thing we've all been waiting for, allow me to be the first to say that Alan Rickman is my super pump for this movie.
Alan Rickman is my super pump for this movie.
Alan Rickman is my super pump for this movie.
It's obvious, right? I mean, it's obvious.
You can see him become aware of what this movie is and then actively begin rebelling against it.
Yeah.
He would go into his lines and try to change them to make the extras on set laugh. You in my room 10:30, you 10:45, bring a friend. He wrote that and he made him keep delivering it until he got the people to laugh on set. And he was like, now that you're laughing, cover it up. We're going to do it one more time.
Carter, tell the story about Alan Rickman, please.
Oh, well, yeah, I think so. While Alan Rickman is my super pump, if you look at the small print, the fine print here, it's explaining to you that really the decision to let him do whatever he wants is my super pump.
Yeah.
Because so just 3 years prior, Alan Rickman is Hans Gruber out of nowhere, becoming a stage actor turned one of the greatest movie villains of all time.
Yeah.
Immediately. And we can tell there's a lot of components to who Alan Rickman is as a person, especially as an actor, that would be like, it's not a surprise, right? He's good at being a villain, but he was afraid of being typecast as such for like the rest of his career. So when Prince of Thieves, which has this $40 million budget, comes up with Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman and says, hey, we'd love for you to play the villain, he says no multiple times. I think it's even more than 3 times. But usually it feels like in these stories, it's like, okay, and on the third, he says yes. But eventually he said, okay, fine. I'll do it if you let me do whatever I want. And they said yes. And you can absolutely tell. It's immediate. And much like the second half of our podcast is probably dedicated to the Sheriff of Nottingham, the second half of the movie is, and that's what makes it so much better. I almost super dumped the first half of this movie because as soon as Alan Rickman gets there and has these scenes, he's so aware and unaware. Like he's clearly aware that this, I think Alan knows this is a bad movie.
I think so.
Right? He has to.
He was in Die Hard. Like he got to see this thing thrown together that ends up being like, I've seen documentaries about making Die Hard and they were like, I think we've done something special here, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever are going to hear stories about that from this movie.
No.
They certainly did something special.
Yeah, it was
outside of his performance. But yeah, Alan Rickman is doing whatever he wants. And he was given this freedom really after only one big movie that he ever did. That wasn't even supposed to be a big movie. Remember, Bruce Willis was not an action star.
Yeah.
Before Die Hard. So yeah, and I think personally that Prince of Thieves might have done as much or more to lock him in. It backfired on him to lock him in as a villain for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Than Die Hard did. And it's just because he leaned into it. He's like, okay, America, this is what you want. I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
He's laughing at everybody because it makes so much money.
It's just
It's
insane.
so ridiculous.
The thing that I found so fun about Alan Rickman in this movie as the Sheriff of Nottingham is I usually don't love the phrase chomping scenery, chewing the scenery, because I feel like people misuse it and they just say like anybody who is larger than life is chewing the scenery.
Yeah, totally.
Same.
Alan Rickman is inhaling the scenery of this movie as though
like
he is Kirby. Yes.
He's absorbing its power 100%.
He is just, I mean, he comes in and it's a different
Oh, it's
movie
so
when he's
over
on
the top.
screen. Like it's a completely different movie.
It's so much. I see so much of his career to be in this role because it's like, this is if you overact as Snape, right? This is a comical version of Snape. Like it's the way he'll take like a 2-syllable word and make it 5 seconds and menacing. And it's just like, guys, there was a moment that we all bust out laughing and I can't help but think,
rewound it.
Yeah, I can't help but think that don't you think that happened in theaters in 91?
For sure.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
When he
I think
cancels
people
Christmas?
also know. Yes. He cancels Christmas. Like it's like
He ad-libbed that line, by the way. That wasn't one of his rewrites in the script.
no more merciful beheadings and cancel Christmas. And there was another thing that he says before that about like feeding the poor or something. And it's just
Scraps
a
for the poor,
caricature
I think is what
of
it was.
villainy.
No more scraps for the poor.
It's a caricature of villainy, but it's the most enjoyable.
It is so
meal.
absurd. He makes a true meal out of dying at the end when he gets stabbed and then dies for a minute.
Goodness.
It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that.
Alone made me love him. I already loved him, but his death scene, he took so long to die. And he was just like, I'm going to soak up every second of this.
So do you think if we have a more like straight down the middle, straight over home plate performance for the Sheriff of Nottingham, whether it's Alan Rickman or somebody else, if it's not basically the Grinch, does this movie lose its watchability?
Yep.
Like if it is straight up and down, do you think it's the presence of one actor knowing exactly what this is that makes it watchable?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's what makes it so special is because Alan Rickman is a professional stage actor and had a long career before he came to the worldwide box office. And he is, I can't think of another time I have ever seen a movie where someone is aware and is making sure they are overacting.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually if you're overacting, you don't know it, right? There's the joke in Tropic Thunder that's just like, with I Am Sam versus Forrest Gump and things like that. But like if you know, he knows it. He's making fun of his own role
100%.
the entire movie. And it is almost anyone who I know has ever seen this, their favorite part.
Now, can I tell you something it did for me that was negative, but not a negative on Alan Rickman or the Sheriff of Nottingham? I think the juxtaposition of the Sheriff of Nottingham versus everything else revealed to me that I wish this movie leaned more into the absurd more often. I really was wanting, when all 5 of the people are about to be hung, I really wanted Robin to knock 5 arrows at once, pull back and shoot all 5 people down. And I wanted to see people, sliding down banners and, throwing swords across the, I think I just wanted it to be.
Boy, have I got a movie for you.
Right, yeah.
A mere 2 years after this.
I just think that with how big the Sheriff of Nottingham becomes, we could have gone bigger with everything else and been fine and maybe still been more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, we do get, my swashes did get buckled quite a few times.
There was one moment I can't believe I forgot about. That was a duo, a team moment.
You talking about the catapult? I loved the catapult.
Fully ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
They're like together, like kids. Like you're about to go down the slide that you feel old enough to do now at
They're gonna go on a
Schlitterbahn.
ride together.
They're like looking at each other and they're like, yes, let's do it. And it doesn't make any sense.
Dude,
Because it's such a good shot.
perfect
Who has
accuracy
had
to
practice?
a wagon that they didn't know was on the other side of that wall.
Catapults just kind of appear in this movie and
Oh
they
my
surprise
goodness.
people.
Now,
Yeah, when we burned down Sherwood Forest and they're just shot, like, how did we not see, right? Like, how did you not see this army with fire?
Yes. Of Celts.
It's just
Goodness
awful.
gracious.
yeah, and they're like, they took advantage of him. They followed the poor blind man back, and it's like, he's not deaf.
How did he not hear them?
How did he not hear 100
There's 1,000
horses?
of them.
Yeah, he can hear love, but he can't hear an army. Like, what the heck, my guy?
I may
What
be
the heck?
blind, but there's some things even I can see.
So, yeah, in that scene, too, I think it's so funny that we have this epic soundtrack and then you catch like bits of like, and they're like really trying to work it into like the medieval epic vibe. But
Yeah.
it's like, this is a Bryan Adams song, y'all. Like, it's just like right here.
People didn't know that though. People didn't know it was
Yeah.
a Bryan Adams
Honestly,
song.
Do you think
people
people's
didn't know
minds
that.
were blown that they got to the credits like, Bryan Adams is singing a Robin Hood song.
Yeah.
He's singing the song we've been hearing.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the same
Yeah.
as Charlie Puth singing "See You Again" at the end of Fast 7? Just like, wow, Charlie.
I've
thank you.
always said that Charlie Puth is the Bryan Adams of modern times.
Yeah, I think that for sure.
The music is so much better than everything else in this movie,
Except for Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
except for Alan
Yeah.
Rickman. Yeah.
Do we want to talk about our surprise appearance?
Yes, we do.
Here,
Dude, what?
I can't, and y'all might have noticed it, but I'm really bad at like keeping, especially if it's something that I know people will enjoy, like exciting things just to myself and have it delivered. And Chelsea, my wife, is very good at it. And I would have moments that I would look at her and someone would say something adjacent to like, I can't believe all this is happening. What a surprise. And I'd be like, they have no idea.
I saw you look
And
at
she
her.
would-
I saw you look at her once and whisper, "Did you remember about the end of this movie?" And she like nodded and put her finger up to her lips.
Yeah.
And then I forgot about it. And
Yeah.
then Sean
Yeah,
Connery
good.
shows up in the last scene. and I'm
Sean
like,
Connery.
You're
as
kidding
King
me.
Richard.
And he literally is just like, "Sure, Robin of Locksley, thank you so much for all that you've done."
I mean, it's like, sorry for crashing your wedding. You know, it's just like he just shows up and
just
makes
is Sean Connery.
so much money.
Unreal. He
It just
donated
is.
to charity.
Wait, did he really?
He what?
Yeah, he donated. He made like 250 grand or something from this. Donated it to charity.
Straight to charity.
Wow.
Straight to charity
What a
because he's a
guy.
saint. He played Robin Hood in, I think, 1956 or 1965. Played Robin Hood in a version of the Robin Hood story.
Phenomenal. But yeah, Connery, dude, get your bag, man.
Yeah, totally.
Enjoy that bag.
Totally.
Thanks for giving that away. That's really cool that he did that. Really cool.
I can't. That is such a totally buck wild thing to happen in this movie.
And like, there's so many
What isn't,
side
though, you know?
characters.
Yeah, that's
There's so
true.
many side character cartoon things that are buck wild. Like anybody who's in the clergy is freaking weird.
Yes.
Yes.
Not to mention our witch, Mortiana,
What?
who is the grossest. It's like they wanted to, I don't know. It's like introducing the next level of fear factor every time you see her. It's like
Right.
she's got like, well, at one point she cuts herself with her own nail,
pretty gross.
her own gnarly
pretty
nail,
gross.
bleeds into it, and then spits in that and then mixes it up the whole time while very Mel Brooksian comicsy, like Alan Rickman is just like right behind her, almost like
Yeah.
a Three Stooges thing. Is like, you know, what's going to happen? It's she's gross, and she has a terrifying death twice. Because our last scene, when we have not our last scene, but our climax, when there's really awful things happening of him, he just wants to immediately consummate the marriage.
Yeah,
It's
that's
rough.
not great.
It's rough. It is rough.
Meanwhile, Mortiana gets stabbed in the gut with a big blade.
She stabs herself essentially. She just runs.
She runs-
belly
Oh, she
first.
runs
Great.
into it,
straight at his
which is
extended
all
spear.
part of her playing possum ploy
Yeah.
to come back later with all the energy in the world as if she lost no blood, which she continues to harm herself a lot throughout the entire movie. And
then Morgan
dies
Freeman throws
again.
a scimitar through her.
Someone's like, the director or producer or somebody was like, yeah, but let's get another window. Can we get someone else through a window?
One more time.
Like, let's make sure. But yeah, Alan Rickman's like taking out his dagger and just kind of presenting it like it's bloody self. He's like, I think I got stabbed in it. And like, so drawn out.
Oh my goodness.
That it feels like a spoof of the movie he's in.
Right.
Which is, again, I can't get over the
It's his
dynamic
best-
of that.
I don't think
How
I've
strange
ever
that is.
seen. I don't think I've ever seen a movie where one of the main actors in it is so clearly making fun of the fact that this movie exists.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's so special.
Guys, I want us to take our players to the podium. And I need to hear from y'all, starting with your bronze award here. And using characters. Who's third place for you? And I'll go first. Was my third place from the start to make the podium because why not have a last minute entry into this event just like he did in the movie? Sean Connery gets the bronze for me.
Fair. That's fair.
For just being here. It was like a reminder that like, hey, but are these other people A-list? Right? It's like we had people like, wow, they got so many big time actors. And then you just throw in Sean Connery out of nowhere, which is just unreal. It would be like I don't know. It would be like Anthony Hopkins showing up to the end of a movie or something.
Yeah.
Like I have a Harrison Ford where he has no place of being.
Yeah.
You know, like this seminal character in Epics, and then he just shows up and he's like, "Hi, I'm Harrison Ford." You know, it's like it's wild. What's the bronze?
Can you
for
imagine
guys?
Harrison Ford as King Richard? I'm sorry to crash your wedding. Sean Connery was like 63 or something like that whenever he played this role. And the real King Richard the Lionheart was like 31 when he returned from the Crusades. So the Jerusalem climate's hard on a boy, I guess.
Well, you know, I think it just shows it shows why, you know, England just never really did a whole lot, because you have to be 35 to be president and you can be a king at 31. That's just crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's why they didn't really have any success.
Yeah. That's why they never really went anywhere.
That's why the sun definitely set on the British Empire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, for my third place pick, I was going to do Bryan Adams, but I'm going to play nice. I'm going to play fair. I'm going to play by the rules. You know, it's just the thing. The thing is, like with Bryan Adams, he's the baby. That's all that I want. When he's lying here in my arms. So listen, my third place is Will Scarlet. My third place is Christian Slater as Will Scarlet. That's my bronze.
Okay.
That's my bronze. I thought he was fun. He's a handsome boy. He's a pretty man in this movie.
He's a pretty man.
He's a pretty man. My podium is all folks who have worked together to make this movie what I believe it is, rather than what it was trying to be. And so my third place is going to go to Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner takes the bronze for me.
Interesting.
Because he's bad, but in a watchable way.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. My silver is Kevin Costner, and it's weird, and I think it's because, in a strange way, I can't imagine this movie without him, and that to me brings a lot of value. So he takes the silver.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. My silver is Guy of Gisborne. He was just so weird.
Place.
So weird and over the top, and I loved it.
He was like an orc without makeup.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, 100%.
He was over the top.
I loved it. So yeah, Michael Wincott's Guy of Gisborne takes the silver.
He's an orc with a skincare routine.
Yeah.
Second place for me is Sean Connery.
Phenomenal.
Because it's ridiculous.
Gold is Alan
Gold
Rickman.
is
It wasn't
Alan
even
Rickman.
close.
Yeah,
Gold is
We
Alan.
were
That's
watching, and
yes.
it was he had finished the race, and then everyone else was still had a lot of time, so he went and grabbed
Everyone
a
else was like,
drink
did the gun go off?
yeah. Just amazing work.
Unbelievable.
Truly, we are blessed to even have it. Now, it is time to rate this movie using science. The scientific cinema scale is perfect. It's baked up right here in our test kitchen at 2 Chunks and a Hunk, and it is as follows. The best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't lend it, buy that poster. The next best thing is buy it. That's followed by rent it, then stream it. After that is forget it. And last, but certainly least, the worst thing we could ever say about a movie. God hath forsaken us.
I'll go, it frightens me how close this is to a poster.
Phenomenal.
I'm going to buy this movie. Because if I ever have the opportunity to see it theatrically, I will be buying tickets to this movie. I will spend
makes sense
untold numbers of my own dollars to watch this movie many more times in my life.
Oh yeah, I'll have everything off that special Alamo menu.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, completely.
For sure. Yeah, it's always weird in a moment like this because the quality of the movie has virtually, if not absolutely nothing to do with my rating.
Yeah.
This rating is completely down to the experience of watching it. And it is pure joy, this movie. I am buying it as well. I'm buying Robin.
Yeah, there's a couple, even though the poster itself was actually pretty amazing.
Awesome poster.
It's like fire arrow with fire in the background and Kevin Costner in a mullet. There definitely are parts that do make it the wrong kind of bad movie for me to buy the poster. I do think because if this entire movie, so if it wasn't 2.5 hours, maybe if it was 2 hours and it had the same kind of chutzpah that the second half does, maybe I'm buying the poster.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of it in a way of like, so I buy this movie and at first I thought it might be a rent because I was like, I would spend money for people to see this. But I think it is economically better for me to go ahead and buy it with how many times I would want to have people watch it.
Completely.
So it's a buy, and it's just so silly. That's what's so fun about the scientific cinema scale is it's hard to quantify some things, and that's just science. You know, science it's always a mystery.
Yeah, so the thing about science is there's really no way to
no way to prove it. Yeah.
It is notoriously subjective.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, guys.
Amazing. And we're jumping right into Karate Kid. What a fun
I can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah, Karate Kid next week as we continue our Olympics.
The way you said that, it's like we were about to just extend this episode and go ahead and review Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Here's our synopsis for Karate Kid.
It's been a good time. Over on Patreon, we are doing Box Office Ball. We'll give updates on that. It's going to be pretty awesome. So if you're not a patron at the $5 tier, you have already missed the chance to get in on this one, but there will be more. So I encourage you to weigh that as you hear the laughter from outside and you're stuck inside doing homework and you hear all your friends in the cul-de-sac playing Box Office Ball. Just really...
You can play next season.
Yeah, you can play next season. Get your homework done.
And remember,
January.
If you support us at any level, you get access to, I think it's like 12 bonus episodes right now, about to be 13, 14, 15. Once we finish our new Back to the Future series coming out over there, those bonus episodes are a great time and a great way to...
Did you just probably get out 12 plus 3?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not a math podcast.
No doubt, dude.
I can't be an expert in everything.
No doubt, for sure. I'm terrible in math. I just didn't know. I was just double checking, making sure I crossed.
You're trying to make sure I did the math
I'm
right.
just crossing my I's and dotting my T's here. Now, to end today's episode, I'd like for each of us to say our name and what Olympic event we would have included in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves to make it a little more interesting. For Two Chunks and a Hunk, I'm Jordan Wonders, and it's definitely the shot put. And I would have had Little John huck that barrel of explosives straight over the wall.
That's phenomenal.
Blow it up.
That's good. That's good.
I'm Doge, and there actually was another event, sleeper, included in this. And I would just reverse it. It was accidentally reverse javelin, where the person ran straight at a spear. So let's just go ahead and actually do for real javelin and have somebody hucking big, long
Throw it
spears.
with her on it. Throw it while she's
with her on it. Yeah, a witch kebab. Exactly.
Very good.
A witch kebab.
Very good. Hey, put some explosives on that. It's a witch kebab.
I'm Carter, and I'm shook. I want to see Alan Rickman do even more ridiculous things, so I think I'm going to give him a gymnastics floor routine.
Yes.
Yes. Can he do it as he dies? He just does a whole floor routine.
Can we do it to everything I do?
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, is as he's dying, a floor routine to everything I do.
He's about a quarter of the
Let's not
way
wait
there.
for the credits. Let's just go ahead and put Bryan Adams in the movie.
As like a minstrel. He can
like
sing.
a bard,
Yeah.
singing live with a little
Yeah.
lute. Amazing.
At Freedom Mortgage, freedom means helping veterans use their homes for better living. Whether that be through refinancing your mortgage, accessing cash through your home's equity, or helping you purchase a new home, making home financing a custom fit. That's freedom. Visit freedommortgage.com/VA to learn more. Freedom Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 2767, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org, 951 Yamato Road, Boca Raton, Florida, 33431, 800-220-3333. Licensed in all 50 states. For complete licensing information, visit www.freedommortgage.com/state-licensing. Equal housing opportunity. Leverage Redemption comes to IMDb TV, and the con is on and more exciting than ever. The team reunites as they take justice into their own hands, not to mention adding a few new exciting recruits. For this crew, the stealing is mutual. There's no shortage of bad guys, and the con game has only gotten more complicated. Don't miss out on the action-packed heist and discover why crime is fun when you're the good guys. Leverage Redemption, now streaming free on IMDb TV. IMDb TV is available on Fire TV, Roku, or anywhere Prime Video is available.